Hello everyone, welcome back to the MetaMagics channel, where today we praise. That is right. In the last video, I asked you guys what you wanted to see for the Piety in-depth video, whether you wanted just these stats or whether you wanted a more in-depth, long-form lore type video. And there was an overwhelming response from you guys that you wanted to see a nice long-form lore type video on the gods of Theros. However, there is a lot more material there than I can edit into one video all in one day to get this out to you in a timely manner. So what I am going to do is make two videos. That's right. This video is going to cover just the statistics of each god's piety system, what they give you, and a brief summary on how to earn piety with them. And once all of the reviews of Theros are done, meaning this video, the mythic monsters, mythic actions video, and anything else I have not yet covered in Theros, I will be making a much more well-produced long-form lore video just for you guys after the review stage of this book is done. So be sure to subscribe and look out for that video coming sometime down the line once all these other review videos are done. But for now, we are just going to be covering the Gods of Theros' piety reward system. So without any further delay, let's jump right into it. So to begin, we have Athreos, the god of passage. Now, Athreos' goals. Athreos endlessly works to maintain the balance between Nyx, the underworld, and the lands of the living. The river guide sees himself as a servant of the mortal world and knows nothing of the glamour, honor, or mystery mortals often ascribe to him. So with each of the gods of Theros, there is a typical suggestion on what your alignment is, what your class is, your domain of your class, and your backgrounds. You do not necessarily need to adhere to these limitations, but for lore purposes and at your DM's discretion, you are suggested to do so. So to begin with Athreos' champions, they are usually lawful evil. The classes are usually cleric, monk, rogue, and wizard. Their domains are death and grave, cleric specifically from Xanathar's Guide to Everything, and your backgrounds are typically the hermit, sage, sailor, or urchin. Most worshippers of Athreos believe death is a natural part of life, to neither be rushed toward nor run from. They seek to do their part in fulfilling the natural order, easing the passage of the living into death. Most also respect their ancestors and honor them through tradition, ritual, and memory. So going right down to the piety earning and losing with Athreos, you increase your piety score to Athreos when you honor him or the cycle of life and death through acts such as these: providing coins and overseeing burial rites for those slain during a tragedy, ensuring that the deeds and knowledge of someone who has died are preserved, slaying a returned and its associated eidolon. A shout out to somebody in the last video's comments section telling me exactly what a returned is, since I did not know. It is a soul that has escaped the underworld either through sheer force of will or through some tampering by the gods. The returned come back to a new body with almost no memory of who they were in their past life. So slaying one of these and returning its associated eidolon. Your piety score to Athreos decreases if you diminish the river guide's influence on the world by denying a dying person their final rites, removing wealth from a corpse, or defiling a tomb, aiding those who seek to escape the underworld or who already have. And your rewards for Athreos are as such: at 3+ piety, your life is intertwined with the fate of the dead. You can cast Gentle Repose requiring no components, equal to your wisdom modifier, a minimum of once, and regain all uses when you finish a long rest, with wisdom being your spellcasting modifier. At 10+ piety, you can cast Speak with Dead with no components and can only do this once per long rest with wisdom. At 25+ piety, you can cast False Life with no components, and when you do so, you gain an additional 25 hit points on top of the hit points you already gain with False Life. Once you do this, you cannot do it again until you finish a long rest, with wisdom being your modifier. At 50+ piety, you can increase your intelligence or wisdom score by 2 and increase your maximum of that score by 2. Next up, we have Afara, the god of the polis. Afara's goals: Afara always seeks to further cities, establishing them, protecting them, and seeing them grow. She supports those who build new cities and those who free others from tyranny. Afara knows that not all threats to a city come from outside it, and she encourages her followers to watch out for tyranny and justice from within. She seeks for justice to prevail in civilized lands. For her champions, they are usually lawful neutral. They are suggested to be bards, clerics, monks, paladins, or wizards, and their domains are knowledge and light. The backgrounds are acolyte, athlete, guild artisan, noble, sage, sailor, soldier, and urchin. Most champions of Afar believe cities represent the pinnacle of achievement and do what they can do to uphold the law and keep society functioning. Some of the god's most devout followers work as architects, artists, or philosophers, all striving to serve the public good. To earn piety with Ephara, you must defend a city from a major threat, defeating a tyrant who threatens the city's freedom, sounds one and the same, creating a masterwork such as a building or a poem. In order to lose piety, you betray one's trust to commit acts of corruption or tyranny, you destroy a civic institution or sowing chaos within a city, and willfully breaking laws just for personal gain. At 3 piety, you can cast Comprehend Languages, requiring no components, a number of times equal to your intelligence modifier, minimum of once, regaining all uses when you finish a long rest with intelligence. At 10 piety plus, you gain advantage on all persuasion checks while you are within a city. In addition, when you fail an intelligence check or intelligence saving throw, you can re-roll and must use the new roll, and can only do this once per long rest. At 25 plus piety, you can cast Mordenkainen's Private Sanctum with this trait listed here, requiring no components. Once you do this once, you cannot do it again until you finish a long rest, and you can do this with your intelligence modifier. At 50 plus piety, you increase your intelligence and charisma by 2 and your maximum by 2. Next up, we have Erebos, God of the Dead. Erebos wants above all to maintain his position of absolute authority over the realm of the dead. He lashes out at anyone who aids souls in escaping him or otherwise tries to subvert the inevitability of death. Erebos' champions are usually neutral evil. They are clerics, fighters, rogues, and wizards of the death and trickery domain. Their backgrounds typically associated are acolytes, charlatans, criminals, nobles, and urchins. Most worshippers of Erebos seek to enforce the boundary between life and death, whether absolutely or selectively. They often find grim satisfaction in serving the covetous but patient god, knowing that all will ultimately know their patron's embrace. To earn piety with Erebos, you must convince a group of people to accept misfortune, easing someone's death or assisting with funeral arrangements, retrieving a prominent figure's eidolon or returned form, thwarting the schemes of Heliod. Again, there's that beef between Heliod and Erebos. And in order to lose piety with Erebos, you save a life without securing compensation for Erebos, forsaking your duties for personal gain or pleasure, allowing a soul to escape the underworld. So I imagine you can lose piety with Erebos should you cast any sort of Raise Dead scroll without any actual sacrifice, whether that be a life for a life or material components. At 3 or more piety, as a devotee to Erebos, you can cast Bane, which is listed here, requiring no components and a number of times equal to your wisdom modifier. You regain all uses on a long rest, and you cast it with your wisdom modifier. At 10 or more piety, you can cast a vampiric touch, listed here, and you can only do this once per long rest with wisdom. At 25 or more piety, when a soul is sent to its rightful place, you can draw on the energy of the underworld to empower you. When a creature dies within 10 feet of you, you can use your reaction to gain a number of temporary hit points equal to your level. So the higher level, the better. And at 50 or more piety, you can increase your constitution or wisdom by 2 and your maximum by 2. Next up, we have Heliod, Erebos' mortal enemy, god of the sun. Heliod's goals, in Heliod's mind, he is the ruler of the gods, and he wants merely for his rightful place to be recognized. He imagines Nyx rebuilt as his personal palace where all can witness him in his glory. The champions of Heliod are typically lawful good. They are clerics, fighters, monks, or paladins of the light domain. The backgrounds are acolyte, athlete, noble, and soldier. Champions of Heliod typically either exemplars of light, law, and truth, or conflicted heroes motivated by revenge and sworn vows. Most can't imagine serving those they consider lesser gods. To gain piety with Heliod, you carry out a punishment on a fugitive from justice, exacting vengeance for a significant wrong done to you, defending a polis from attacking monsters, or building and restoring a temple to Heliod. Which is surprising. You'd think that building a temple to a god would give you piety with all of them, but I guess not. To lose piety with Heliod, you break an explicit promise or oath, so no Oathbreaker paladins here, violating any just law, or by putting others at risk through your own cowardice. At 3 or more piety, you can cast Bless, requiring no material components. And this Bless also manifests a nimbus around the affected creatures, causing them to shed a dim light in a 5-foot radius. You can do this a number of times equal to your wisdom modifier, gain all uses on a long rest, and cast it with wisdom. At 10 or more piety, you can cast Daylight, listed here, only once per long rest with wisdom. At 25 or more piety, you grow accustomed to the blazing radiance of the sun. You have advantage on saving throws against being blinded and have resistance to fire damage. And at 50 or more piety, You can increase your strength or wisdom score by 2 and increase your maximum by 2. Pretty standard. Next, there's Eroas, the god of victory. Eroas seeks existence as a series of glorious battles to be won by both him and his followers. War is a testing ground from only which the bravest and strongest emerge. For Eroas's champions, they are usually chaotic good, barbarians, clerics, fighters, paladins, and sorcerers. The war domain is the suggested domain here. They are typically athletes, folk heroes, or soldiers. Many champions of Eroas are warriors for honor and justice. They often seek to embody martial courage and are motivated by strong personal codes of honor. In order to earn piety with Eroas, you achieve a great victory. Seems a little bit subjective there. Overcoming long odds honorably. Again, pretty subjective. Defeating a skilled foe in single combat, or winning a great feat of strength or skill. In order to lose piety with Eroas, you show cowardice in battle by besting an honorable foe through deceit or harming innocents or non-combatants. At 3 or more piety, you can cast Compelled Duel, listed here. With this trait a number of times equal to your charisma modifier, a minimum of once, get all uses back in a long rest, and cast it with charisma. At 10 or more piety, you can cast Crusader's Mantle, listed here, once per long rest with charisma. You also have advantage on saving throws against being frightened, which happens quite a lot, so this is a nice little trait here. At 25 or more piety, as a bonus action, you can call on Eroas's blessing, gaining the following benefits for 1 minute or until you are incapped. Creatures within 30 feet of you can't gain advantage on attack rolls against you, and once you use this trait, you cannot do so until you finish a long rest. That's really nice ability right there. At 50 or more piety, you can increase your strength or charisma by 2 and your maximum as well. Next up, there's Cara Metra, the god of harvests. Cara Metra is recognized as... Oh, shit. Next up, there's Cara Metra, the god of harvests. Cara Metra doesn't engage in underhanded politicking or petty disputes. She seems to stand above the quarrels and tumultuous rivalries of other deities and equally aloof from the machinations of the mortal world. Cara Metra's champions are often neutral good. They are clerics, fighters, paladins, and rangers, and the cleric domains are typically life and nature. The backgrounds are acolytes, folk heroes, guild artisans, soldiers, and urchins. Most champions of Cara Metra are advocates of community and family. They typically form tight-knit squads or surrogate families and take care of their people. In order to earn piety with Cara Metra, you can turn a wild field into fertile cropland, feeding those who are starving, defending a farm from monsters, or building and restoring a temple to Cara Metra. In order to lose piety, you destroy a settlement's food source, release and scatter domestic animals, divert a water source needed for irrigation, or start a fire that threatens a settlement. At 3 or more piety, as a bonus action, you can invoke Cara Metra's protection. Spectral plants cover you, giving you a +1 bonus to AC for 1 minute, and you can do this once per long rest. At 10 or more piety, you can cast Create Food and Water, very thematically appropriate here, once per long rest. Wisdom is your spellcasting modifier for this, and you also have advantage on saving throws against being poisoned. At 25 or more piety, by performing a 1 hour long ritual, you conjure enough grapes to fill 3 vials, 4 ounces each, of wine. Each vial serves as a potion of healing for 24 hours, after which it loses its property, and you can do this once per long rest. So you can create 3 healing potions per day. This is a really powerful ability. I like this a lot. At 50 or more piety, you can increase your constitution or wisdom score by 2 and also increase your maximum of that score by 2. Next up, we have Karanos, the god of storms. For good or ill, Karanos exists as a disruptive force. He doesn't desire authority over other gods, and in fact doesn't particularly enjoy their company. Karanos' champions are usually chaotic neutral. Their classes are barbarians, bards, clerics, druids, sorcerers, and wizards, and their cleric domains are typically knowledge and tempest. The backgrounds suggested are acolytes, entertainers, guild artisans, nobles, sages, and sailors. Most champions of Karanos are calm under pressure, creative, and clever. They often seek to challenge the status quo and thrill at wielding the power of the storm. To earn piety with Karanos, you solve a challenging riddle or puzzle, smiting the unwise and foolish in Karanos' name, helping a polis successfully plan for or adapt to a threat, or build or restore a temple to Karanos. To lose piety, you jeopardize others through rash or foolish actions, willingly subverting or impeding a wise course of action, failing to plan appropriately for a challenge. That seems like it's very subjective and you could lose a lot of piety since most parties typically aren't that prepared, or giving in to wanton fury and destruction. At 3 or more piety, You've proven your wisdom and intelligence to the Stormlord. Once on each of your turns, when you hit a creature with a weapon attack, you can deal an additional 1d6 lightning damage, and you can use this trait a number of times equal to your int modifier and regain all uses when you finish a long rest. At 3 piety, that's really nice. You probably will get that at really early levels, and extra damage is always good at early levels. At 10 or more piety, when you fail an intelligence or a wisdom saving throw, you can re-roll the die and must use the new roll, and can do this once per long rest. At 25 or more piety, the energy of the storm fills your being, granting you advantage on initiative rolls. And at 50 or more piety, you can increase your int or wisdom by 2 and your maximum. Next up, we have Klothys, the god of destiny. Once content to oversee and preserve destiny from the underworld, Klothys now endeavors to undo the cosmic damage caused by Heliod, Xenagos, and ambitious mortals in recent years. Here's a nice looking picture right here. Klothys' champions are usually true neutral. Their classes are Barbarian, Cleric, Ranger, and Warlock. The Cleric domains are Knowledge and War, and the backgrounds are Folk Hero, Hermit, Outlander, and Sage. Most champions of Klothys believe it is their destiny to fulfill a particular role or seek answers to omens they struggle to understand. They are passionate about punishing those who violate the cosmological order. In order to gain piety with Klothys, defeating a creature that has stepped out of its place, repairing a significant wound dealt to destinies by the god's ambitions, or teaching people about Klothys, her nature, and her return. Your piety decreases with Klothys if you undo a deserved punishment or curse suffered by another creature, willfully destroying a natural wonder, or assisting a creature in undermining the natural order or exploiting destiny. At 3 or more piety, you can cast Command a number of times equal to your wisdom modifier, minimum of once, and regain all uses when you finish a long rest, with wisdom being your modifier. At 10 or more piety, you can cast Clairvoyance, requiring no components, once per long rest with wisdom, and you also have advantage on saving throws against being charmed. At 25 or more piety, you develop a second sense. You cannot be surprised, providing you are not incapacitated. And at 50 or more piety, you can increase your strength or wisdom score by 2, and also increase your maximum of that score by 2. Next up, we have Krufix, the god of horizons. More than any god, Krufix simply is. He seeks nothing but to oversee the acquisition of knowledge, maintaining the cycles of time, and uphold the divine order. Krufix's champions are usually also true neutral. Their classes are Bard, Cleric, Druid, Monk, Ranger, or Wizard. The Cleric domains are Knowledge and Trickery, and the backgrounds are Hermits, Outlander, Sage, or Sailor. Most champions of Krufix seek to learn the secrets of the universe and maintain the balance of the world. They largely view the other gods as petty and seek to separate themselves from divine squabbles. In order to gain piety with Krufix, keeping a dangerous secret despite personal cost, revealing a critical truth at an important moment, mediating a major dispute or conflict, or aiding the weak or impeding the strong. You lose piety with Krufix if you reveal a secret that should remain unknown, selfishly refuse to share information, showing favoritism toward any other group or god, furthering the aims of another god in defiance of Krufix's will. At 3 or more piety, you can cast Detect Magic a number of times equal to your intelligence modifier, minimum of once, and you gain all uses back on a long rest. In addition, you learn the Mage Hand cantrip, and intelligence is your spellcasting for it. At 10 or more piety, you can cast Detect Thoughts, requiring no components, once per long rest with intelligence, and you also have advantage on saving throws against being charmed. At 25 or more piety, as a true champion of Krufix, you can use your Mage Hand cantrip to protect yourself. While your spectral hand is within 5 feet of you, you gain +2 bonus to your AC against ranged attacks. At 50 or more piety, you can increase your constitution or intelligence by 2 and increase that score's maximum by 2. Next up, we have Mogis, the god of slaughter. To Mogis, the world is a canvas upon which he paints in blood. His goals are easy to understand, thus easily fulfilled by his minions. Mogis wants to unmake the world through savagery. Mogis' champions are, no surprise, usually chaotic evil. The suggested classes are Barbarian, Cleric, Druid, Fighter, and Warlock. The Cleric domain is War, and the backgrounds are Athlete, Criminal, Outlander, and Soldier. Most champions of Mogis are anti-heroes motivated by rage and a thirst for war. Many are tortured souls with a thirst for vengeance. In order to earn piety with Mogis, you defeat a champion of Eroas, taking vengeance against a powerful foe, burning a polis or settlement to the ground, or desecrate a temple to Eroas as an offer to Mogis. In order to lose piety with Mogis, failing to carry out a sworn vendetta, publicly displaying weakness or compassion, rejecting a duel or challenge out of fear. At 3 or more piety, you can cast Wrathful Smite, causing your weapon to blood red glow and shed a dim light within a 5-foot radius until it ends. You can do this a number of times equal to your Constitution modifier and regain all uses when you finish a long rest. And Constitution is your spellcasting ability. Very interesting. At 10 or more piety, you can cast Blinding Smite once per rest with Constitution as your ability. At 25 or more piety, you have advantage on saving throws against being charmed or frightened. And at 50 piety, you can increase your strength or Constitution by 2 and increase your maximum of that score by 2. Next up, we have Helia, God of the Hunt. Compared to the other gods, Helia's goals are modest. She only wants to keep the natural world free and healthy, shepherd the seasons through their yearly cycle, and enjoy the beauty of the land. For Helia's champions, they are usually neutral good. They are barbarians, clerics, druids, and rangers. The cleric domain is nature, and the backgrounds are folk hero, hermit, and outlander. Most champions of Helia understand the cycles of nature, embracing life, death, and rebirth. They might commit violence when necessary, but never revel in it, advocating for the proper treatment of animals, plants, and the natural world. Most champions of Helia understand the cycles of nature, embracing life, death, and rebirth. They might commit violence when necessary, but never revel in it, advocating for the proper treatment of animals, plants, and the natural world. To gain piety with Helia, healing a sick or injured wild animal, stopping those who hunt for sport or profit, proving your worth in a contest of archery, or slaying an aberration, fiend, or an undead. Very interesting. I know while it is up to the DM's discretion, if you slay a horde of undead, you could theoretically gain like a bunch of piety just from cutting down like a horde of zombies. It's kind of cool. Your piety score decreases if you kill an animal for any reason other than necessity, dedicating or building or making a sacrifice to any god, including Helia, or protecting a city or farm from natural dangers. At 3 or more piety, you can cast Hunter's Mark, listed here, a number of times equal to your Wisdom modifier, and regain all uses on a long rest with Wisdom as your spellcasting ability. At 10 or more piety, you can cast Speak with Animals, listed here, a number of times equal to your Wisdom modifier, get all uses back on a long rest, and use Wisdom as your ability modifier. In addition, you have advantage on saving throws against being poisoned. At 25 or more piety, when a beast is about to attack you, it must make a DC 15 Wisdom saving throw. On a failed save, the creature must choose a different target or the attack automatically misses you. On a successful save, the creature is immune to this trait for 24 hours. So this functions very similar to the Sanctuary spell, but it only affects beasts and it's always active on you. Very interesting indeed. At 50 or more piety, you can increase your dexterity or wisdom by 2 and also increase your maximum of that score by 2. Next up, we have Farakka, the god of affliction. To Farakka, Theros is an ongoing experiment and mortals are her agents in carrying it out. Farakka's champions are usually neutral evil. Their classes are cleric, druid, ranger, rogue, warlock, and wizard. Death, knowledge, and life are the suggested domains, and the backgrounds are criminal, guild artisan, hermit, outlander, and sage. Most champions of Farakka seek to uncover the world's greatest secrets through science, alchemy, and magic. They are often enamored with the mysteries of life and death, along with the snakes or other venomous creatures. To gain piety with Farakka, you create a cure for a dangerous affliction, defeat a powerful foe by using poison, discovering or documenting an unknown people or poorly understood creature, building or restoring a temple to Farakka or a site that glorifies serpentine creatures. And you lose piety with Farakka if by destroying alchemical, medical, pathological, or similar research, performing a notable act of healing without exacting a significant price, or slaying a Medusa or serpent. Interesting. At 3 or more piety, you can cast Ray of Sickness, listed here. With this trait a number of times equal to your Wisdom modifier, you get all uses back on a rest, and Wisdom is your spellcasting ability. At 10 or more piety, Farakka's blessing shields you from most maladies. You have advantage on saving throws against being poisoned, and you are immune to disease. At 25 or more piety, Farakka blesses you with Farakka's balm, an effect that can cure or enfeeble. As an action, you can touch a creature and choose one of the following. The target regains hit points equal to 1d8 plus your Wisdom modifier, and you can cure the target of 1 disease or neutralize 1 poison affecting it. So it's basically Cure Wounds plus, or the target must succeed on a DC 15 Constitution saving throw, or for 1 minute the target only deals half damage with weapon attacks. The target can repeat the saving throw at the end of each of its turns, ending the effect on a success. So a debuff, that is something I have not seen, I don't think ever, when playing 5th edition. I don't know if this exists elsewhere. If it does, let me know in the comments down below. But a poisoning spell that gives an damage debuff is very interesting. You can use this action a number of times equal to your Wisdom modifier, a minimum of once. You regain all uses when you finish a long rest. At 50 or more piety, you can increase your dexterity or wisdom by 2 and the maximum of that score by 2. Next up, we have Fen Axe, the god of deception. Fen Axe doesn't want to rule Nyx. He is the perennial outsider, existing only to disrupt the plans of his fellow gods. Fen Axe's champions are often chaotic neutral. Their classes are Bard, Cleric, Monk, Rogue, or Warlock. The suggested domain is Trickery. The backgrounds are Charlatan, Criminal, Entertainer, Sailor, Pirate, or Urchin. Most champions of Fen Axe are exemplars of deceit, motivated by greed, revenge, or a good swindle. They have chosen to serve a mortal who has ascended godhood, possibly because they want to emulate him. You gain piety with Fen Axe by helping a fugitive escape justice, pulling off a daring robbery, obstruct champions of other gods, or build or restore a temple to Fen Axe. You lose piety with Fen Axe by forthrightly assisting lawgivers in their duties, swearing and then honoring an oath, or bringing in order in times of chaos. At 3 or more piety, you can cast Disguise Self, listed here. You can cast this a number of times equal to your Charisma modifier, get all uses back on a long rest, and Charisma is your spellcasting ability. At 10 or more piety, your words are inspired by Theros' greatest liar. You have advantage on deception checks. With 25 or more piety, when you are hidden from a creature and miss it with an attack, making the attack does not reveal your position. At 50 or more piety, you increase Dex or Charisma score by 2 and gain the maximum of that score by 2. Next up, there's Perforos, the god of the forge. Perforos acts not because of grand plans or high ideals, but on the whims of his restless creative mind. Perforos' champions are usually chaotic neutral. Barbarian, Bard, Cleric, Fighter, and Sorcerer are the classes. The Cleric domain is Forge in Xanagar's Guide to Everything, as well as Knowledge. The backgrounds are Acolyte, Entertainer, and Guild Artisan. Most champions of Perforos are unswerving advocates of passion and creativity who change the world by doing what they believe is right in the moment. You gain piety with Perforos by fighting against those who would rule over others, by taking decisive action on impulse, by destroying something that has outlived its usefulness, or by creating something wondrous in Perforos' name. You lose piety with Perforos by following an unjust law despite your misgivings, by creating something shoddy or flawed, or by backing down from a fight or a contest. At 3 or more piety, you can cast Shield of Faith with no material components, a number of times equal to your intelligence modifier, and regain all uses on a rest. In addition, you also learn the Mending cantrip, with intelligence being your modifier for it. At 10 or more piety, you can cast Heat Metal, requiring no components, and can only do this once per long rest, and intelligence is your spellcasting ability for this. In addition, you have advantage on saving throws against being knocked prone. At 25 or more piety, while you are standing and an effect would push you 1 foot or more, you can use your reaction to not be pushed. Seems a little weak for 25 piety. At 50 or more piety, you can increase your strength or intelligence by 2 and your maximum by 2 of the chosen score. And finally, on to the final god, Thassa, god of the sea. Thassa is never satisfied with the status quo, and she also never advocates hasty, uncontrolled change. She constantly resculpts the physical world, altering coastlines and upending familiar trade routes. Thassa's champions are usually true neutral. The classes are Cleric, Fighter, Rogue, and Wizard. The Cleric domains are Knowledge and Tempest, and the backgrounds are Acolyte, Outlander, Sage, and Sailor. Thassa's champions typically work on behalf of change, embrace new ideas, don't automatically defend the status quo, and wish to serve the god who controls pounding waves and massive krakens. That's a nice little footnote there. To gain piety with Thassa, you must support those who would reform or overturn institutions, prevent cataclysmic change, offering a treasure to the sea, or defending or maintaining a temple to Thassa. Your piety score decreases by trying to keep a secret from Thassa, using magic to calm the sea's fury, so control weather during a storm, upholding an institution not devoted to Thassa, and bowing to the desires or demands of another god. At 3 or more piety, you can cast Fog Cloud, a number of times equal to your intelligence modifier, minimum of once, get all uses back on a long rest, and intelligence is your spellcasting ability. At 10 or more piety, you can cast Blink, listed here. You can only do this once per long rest, with intelligence being your spellcasting ability. At 25 piety, you have advantage on saving throws against being charmed or restrained, and at 50 piety, you increase your dexterity or intelligence by 2 and increase your maximum of that score by 2. Oh my god, that was a lot of reading. That is going to do it for the gods of Theros and how you gain and lose piety with them, as well as a small rundown on who they are as deities. Let me know in the comment section below what you guys think of each of these gods' piety rewards, their benefits, how you earn them. I want to hear all of your guys' opinions, of course, and expect a much longer form lore type video with better production value when I'm back at my main studio space. Right here, it's just a little bit inappropriate to try to perform a video like that for you guys. So that will be coming after all the other reviews are done, as I said earlier. I'm excited to show you guys what is coming for that. So if you guys enjoyed this rundown of the piety system and the gods of Theros, be sure to leave this video a like. I would really appreciate it. Subscribe if you have not already for more Theros content coming soon. And until next time, guys, happy gaming.